What's good, people? Time for another Magic Man review. Today, we have the Psychopath mantra, Chaos is Power, by Raymond King. One of the supporters of this channel was so kind to send me this book, and that's why I was compelled to read it. It was a very short book. It wasn't a very good book, okay? But it was short, and I can kind of understand a little bit. There's some truths in here, but a lot of it it's really sophomoric. When I read this book, I pictured in my head, like the rebel without a cause. Like the high school teenager smoking dope and listening to Ozzy Osbourne, like, "Fuck the system, man. Everything's against me, man. I'm just gonna burn it all down." That's what I saw, because I knew kids like that, and I was a little bit like that myself. I was a little bit more optimistic, but it's just rage. It's the if you look up on the internet, look up the 5 stages of grief and anger. He's on the anger phase. At least the material is on the anger phase. I could relate, because this is like, it's sophomore stuff. This is kiddie stuff. Now, some people, like normies, conformies, people who go on the street and they're like, maybe Christians or somebody who's very religious, then this is really, it doesn't compute. But if you weren't raised with that stuff to begin with, and you kind of look at the world and see how it is, you're kind of cynical to begin with, you can relate to some of the stuff. But it's kiddie stuff. It really is. And a lot of the stuff it's advocating, it doesn't really give you a game plan. It's like, just get rid of the stuff. It's useless. It's not real. Or just use it to manipulate other people. That's really what it's getting at. Well, in my opinion, that's what he's trying to get at. It doesn't really give a game plan. It's kind of just chaos. The book itself is chaos. We really don't live in that world anymore, where you can come out there. I guess you can, to some degree. Like, if you're a politician, you can just tell people what they want to hear, and they'll do anything, and they'll make excuses for you. I remember a couple of years ago, Donald Trump could come out. He came out and said, "I could go out and shoot somebody in the street, and people will still support me." And he's right. I used to say the same thing about the other politicians before him. I said, they could, politicians like Obama or Clinton or Bush or whatever. Not so much Bush. People didn't like Bush. But they could, he could have came out, any of them could have came out on stage, hand in hand with the devil, eating a child, and they would still support him, because they told people what they want to hear. They told them these nice little lies about themselves to make themselves feel. So there is some good of that in here, and there's some truth in it. But it's we really don't live in that world anymore. There's elements of it in there, but it's so technical these days. Everybody knows everything about everyone. There's no privacy anymore. But it is what it is. You just have to accept it for what it is. Save your time in reading this book. If you're thinking about reading this book, don't read this book. If you really want to read some serious material, it's like this, but way, way better. There's 3 books you can read. You could read Beyond Good and Evil by Nietzsche. That's where this stuff comes from, really. A lot of this stuff comes from Hegel and Nietzsche, and a lot of the German philosophers back in the day. That's where communism came from, socialism. It came from those guys. They, little man with the mustache, Joe Stalin, Mao. They didn't create communism. Lenin didn't create communism. Even if you read Marx and Engels, they really didn't invent it either. It's just rehashing ideas that came from Hegel. So, if you're so inclined, a lot of this, some of it works, some of it doesn't. It depends on your society. Another good book to read is called Might is Right by Ragnar Redbeard. Now, if you're one of God's unique snowflakes, and you got a really thin skin, don't read that book. There's all kinds of racial bigotry in there. But there's a lot of truth in it too. It's just cold, cutthroat cold. If you imagine yourself the yin yang, You know, there's a little white part with a little bit of dark in there, and there's a dark part with a little bit of light in there. Might is right, it's the dark part of life. But the one I recommend, because Nietzsche can be a little dry. And Ragnar, you know, most people get tired of hearing, you know, so much racial bigotry. He just throws it out there all the time. He tries to be cute about it. He's rhyming and stuff. Does all kinds of alliteration, all kinds of stuff. It's all right. But you have to think about the mindset of who wrote the book. But the one you want to read, most people read, I read it when I was in high school. It's called The Prince by Machiavelli. Most people have heard of Machiavelli, but they haven't read The Prince. But read The Prince. This right here it's not in the same league as The Prince. He gives the guy a blueprint on how to be a manipulative ruler and how to rule. And not to be just a tyrant or a despot, okay? He's saying Machiavelli's like, hey, take care of your people because they're going to take care of you. Don't let them do this, but let them do that. It's like Napoleon. It's like if people didn't have a religion, I would have to make one up and give it to them because people need religion or not. They'd be doing all kinds of stuff, you know. People are messed up sometimes. They'll go having sex with their livestock, burn people at the stake. They needed, like, you know, a magic man in the sky to come tell them, you know, what to do, or one of his representatives or prophets. So, The Prince is the one you want to read, not so much this one. Now, I tried to do some research on Raymond King to find out who he was. Not a lot out there, and I don't want to really badmouth the guy. The one good thing about this book is if you read it, you can think to yourself, if he can get published, I can get published. Look at this stuff. You know what? If you've read this, if you've watched this channel before, you know how much I hate books that don't have any notes in them. No footnotes, no references, not a damn one. Nope. But look at this book, okay? It's only 90-some pages, 95 pages. This is like 3 college papers at the most, maybe 4.5. You could write one of these in a semester. You can write this in a week. All right? Anybody can do it. Raymond King, hey man, I respect the hustle. You got a book out there. People are buying it. Can't hate the game, man. Can't hate it. Get that money. Want a good read though, bro. Sorry. The Psychopath Mantra. Chaos is Power by Raymond King. Until next time, peeps. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps me out with the algorithms.